Hello and welcome to the top Hearthstone cards of the week, where we look at the top cards from the r/custom Hearthstone subreddit. I'm your host, The Giving Tree, and first up we have Self-Sacrificer. 3 mana 1/1 paladin minion with a battle cry. Give your other minions +1/+1 equal to this minion's stats. Destroy this minion. This card combines the two flavors of hand buffs and board bluffs. The Crossroads to Flavor Town allows you to marinate this card in hand throughout the game with hand buffs, and once you've established a board, you can use this card to buff your other minions. Some interesting interactions. The battle cry says that it gives your minions +1/+1 equal to its stats. But as you know, when you put down a battle cry minion, if you have buffing minions on the board like Direwolf Alpha, if you give that minion an extra 1 attack, would it give your other minions +1/+1? Would it give it only +1 attack? I think it should get rid of the +1/+1 part of the battle cry, and instead it should say give your other minions the health and attack equal to this minion. That way when you do play this card with a card like Direwolf Alpha, you'll get the extra attack but not an extra 1/1 or just nothing at all. Speaking of boards, because you need a space on board to play this minion, you'll only be able to buff 6 minions with this card at a time. And when you actually play this minion, it just destroys itself right away, so you can have some additional positive synergy with cards like Cult Master or Backroom Bouncer. But who actually plays those cards? Synergies aside, I think this is a well-designed card, but unfortunately, buffing Paladin does not work even when you try to include Prince Keleseth. I think the problem is that with this card, it would have to work in a Murloc Paladin, and it would be hard to fit any sort of hand buffs into that deck. The card's well balanced, made by a great chef, but unfortunately, the restaurant is in the back of a gas station, and I don't think it would see any play. Next up, we have King's Concert, 4 mana 2/2 neutral with the battle cry. If your hero is a Death Knight, add a random Death Knight card to your hand. Now this card is obviously very similar to Arthas, but the difference is pretty interesting. Making it a battle cry instead of a death rattle makes it a lot better because you're guaranteeing a Death Knight card without the risk of it getting silenced or stolen. Plus you get to use this Death Knight card right away. With this said, the requirement for your hero to be a Death Knight makes this card dead in your hand until you draw and play your hero card. And if you've ever played Death Knight Evolved Shaman, you know it takes drawing your entire deck before you get to your Death Knight. Death Knight cards are pretty powerful, but right now Argus is getting less play than Lich King. Lich King has a guaranteed Death Knight card at the end of your turn and fair stats, while Argus has pretty bad stats and no guaranteed card. I like how this card requires you to play another card before getting its full power, but I don't like the idea of playing this card and then being able to play any of the powerful 2 to 6 mana spells on that same turn. Yes, you can do this with Arthas already by comboing it with other cards that activate its Death Rattle, but those cards are usually not too powerful, and even Death Knight cards can't get a Control Hunter to work. I feel that even if you draw your Death Knight, which is a form of RNG, the additional RNG from playing this card and getting that perfect Death Knight card to swing the game in your favor would be a bad experience for your opponent. I like the Death Knight cards, I like the Lich King, but let me know if you'd rather have a card that works like Arthas or King's Concert. Either way, the card should be called Good Boy Arthas. Next up is Darkshire Veteran, 5 mana 2/3 for warrior with the battle cry. Summon 2 1/1 militia, equip a 2/2 weapon, and gain 3 armor. I like this card because there's a lot of ways to use it, and even on a clear board, it's just a good 5-drop. Summoning 2 1/1s is good for brawl, 2/2 weapon is good for execute activators, and 3 armor is pretty nice too. It fills the 5 spot for warriors, which don't really have any good, non-taunt, mid-range, or aggro deck-esque cards. In addition, for decks like Pirate Warrior, a lot of the time on turn 5 or 6, you're still using your big weapons to deal a lot of damage to your opponent's face, so you don't actually want to be playing this. And then when you've used up your weapon, usually the board has swung in your opponent's favor, and you could try to reload with this, but the low stats wouldn't really let you. So, a Pirate Warrior aggro style wouldn't necessarily work with this card, but I wouldn't know anything about that. I've never played Pirate Warrior. And whether you like Hearthstone or not, I think this could be a great dynamic 5-drop for Warrior. Next up, with a similar diversity of benefits, Survival Pack, 3 mana hunter spell that reads, restore 2 health, equip a 1/1 weapon, add a banana to your hand, and draw a card. You got your heal, you got a knife, you get a banana, buy now and we'll let you draw a card, and I'll send you a mini version for your card. That's a 5 mana value, absolutely free. So it's a 3-cost spell, and the hunter has a pretty stacked 3 spot. Still, I like these cards that give a bunch of different small benefits. Hydrologist single-handedly brought back Paladin Secrets, and now there are 5 or more cards you need to memorize and learn to play around. The community has been asking for it, and you really would have hoped that Blizzard by now had made a banana deck viable. Why would you go with a freeze shaman? I don't care, you can call them frozen bananas, just give people bananas. That's another video for another time. Back to the card. In my opinion, average value of a card draw is like 1 mana, knife is half, Banana is like 3/4 because it still costs another mana to use it. Restore 2 health would be like 3/4 because you could heal a minion with it, so I think it's a perfect 3 mana in my book. With that said, I don't really like the 2 health, I'd rather just make it 2 mana, equip a 1/1 with lifesteal, and it makes the card a lot better. At 2 mana, the little knife could help you clear a minion and heal your hero to 1. Banana gets you your potassium, and the card draw is good value. I never want a Hunter card printed that heals its own minions. I mean, if you just look at Toxic Arrow, Hunter, they're not meant to heal. That's how I would change the card. It's a nice card, good design, eat bananas, they're good for you. Last up we have Encased in Amber, 4 mana priest spell that reads Destroy a minion. It will appear in its owner's next discovery. It will cost 4 less. Single target, hard removals. Easiest place to start is Assassinate, 5 mana destroy minion. Next up, Blast Crystal Potion, 4 mana destroy minion and one of your mana crystals. And last up, Deadly Shot, Control Hunter will never work. So this card is 4 mana destroy minion, but your opponent might be able to play it later for cheap. I like. One of the big pluses of this card is that if your opponent actually isn't playing a deck with Discover mechanic, like maybe an aggro hunter, they won't get their minions back. If they do have a Discover card, they now lose one of the 3 choices, and most likely they will pick the one you destroyed because it's cheap and probably a good card. But now you're actually getting rid of another Discover effect of theirs, and so that's not so bad. Encased in Amber is actually really good against Free from Amber, but moral conflicts arise within me when discussing whether I should free or encase a creature in Amber, and this makes me not want to use this new card. Just look how sad that dragon is trapped in Amber. Morals aside, if I was a psychopath, I think this card would see play. Just think about encasing a kitty cat, or dare I even say, good boy Arthas. And now for user submission, at Punti Ballsack submitted Shifter Death Knight. 1 mana 1/1, each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a random Death Knight. I know Blizzard would never allow this to happen, besides the financial burden. Balancing Death Knight cards and other classes would be a pain. I looked through the Death Knights and there has to be some sort of issue if you were to play Rogue Death Knight in another class, and there's gotta be a way to get an easier Paladin Death Knight OTK, but having to wait for the 1 in 9 chance and to have enough mana to be able to play the Death Knight card, it wouldn't really be a competitive card to create a combo for. I think it would just be a bunch of random RNG effects, and it would create a lot of fun games, but also it would be pretty annoying in some cases. Even when Blizzard gives everyone a free Death Knight, I just want everyone to be able to play all of them. And isn't that a beautiful thing? Thank you, Punti Ballsack. And that has been the top Hearthstone cards of the week. Now every Saturday at 8 AM, feel free to submit your cards, information down below. Thank you for watching. I've been your host, The Giving Tree, and until next time.